do a podcast? We make a darn good team. It always goes without a hitch. Let's head to Twitch and go start up the stream. Do you want to do a podcast? It's the Nerd Glasses Podcast. Let's start now. Hi everyone and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast.
Come? Alright, I'll do my own bit for myself.
Oh wait, no silence.
We're doing it. Get off the road.
Hey Dave,
Hey, Boater.
I'm gonna wait until we actually get word that our audio is working this time before I say the joke. How is it out there, listeners? So we had some pretty rough thunderstorms come... Dave,
Huh? Oh, sorry. I'll,
save that for the jokes when you greet customers. We had some pretty rough thunderstorms come through here this afternoon. It kind of reminded me of the last time that I was flying. It was one of those like little rinky-dink planes where like there's one seat and then an aisle and then two seats.
Okay.
I was in one seat. On the other side of the aisle, there was this little old lady and a priest that were having a nice chat talking to each other. And at one point, the plane kind of got near a thunderstorm. Tiny plane, it goes blah, 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 all over the place. Everyone's getting a little freaked out. The lady says to the priest, well, like, can't you, do something? He says, sorry, I'm in sales, not management.
Bam! And the
Hey
streak
everyone,
continues.
and welcome to the Nerd Glasses Podcast. I'm Boater.
And I'm excited as hell to be here. And Dave, man,
Thank you for the confirmation on audio, dear producer, whose name is Steve. Thank you, Steve.
thank you, Steve.
Yeah, we've got some really cool stuff lined up, and we are going to get to them. But we're going to start with the segment that is usually for Twitch bans, but I'm going to go to a slightly different platform here. So we're going to talk about YouTube. This past week, Corey Williams, whose username on YouTube is Corey X Kenshin. He often goes on hiatus, and whenever he comes back, he's a big enough name that he immediately becomes trending. Often will hit #1 in trending on the platform.
Okay.
Does a lot of like game related content, stuff like that. He returned from hiatus recently and was playing The Mortuary Assistant, which is a game that's been really popular going around the platform. And he just put out a video last week calling out YouTube on a lot of stuff because his video for The Mortuary Assistant got age restricted. And it is probably because that particular point in the game deals with themes of suicide. And he's like, okay, that's one thing, but like, I'm not the only one playing this. He went and he checked other creators, Jacksepticeye, Markiplier, who have played it. They weren't age restricted.
Huh.
And he's like, he said there may be multiple reasons for this, but being on a somewhat similar level of being these really, big channels, the big difference is that Corey is black. And he's not saying for sure that that's why, but it's one of those really like a lot of the evidence points to that. He did a lot of talk about like, is YouTube in general, is its algorithm catching things racist? Are the policymakers who are enforcing things on different channels and picking and choosing racist? Is it just a bunch of people that don't like seeing a black guy trending mass report his content and then it happens? But either way, it's a problem that like these big names get, do have reps that they go through, but they shouldn't have to for this kind of thing. And others did end up responding to it. Jacksepticeye said a lot of things in support of what he said, of like, YouTube is just getting really exhausting with its algorithm. And again, like for like medium-sized creators that don't have a YouTube rep to represent them, for having to deal with that kind of thing. To date, Markiplier hasn't explicitly, as far as I know, like he hasn't on his channel said anything about it. He hasn't like on Twitter said anything, but he did kind of tongue in cheek poke the bear with try not to get age restricted challenge by playing Orc Massage, which is basically like a porn game that's available on Steam. He massively censored it everywhere and made a big joke out of it, but I have to believe that doing so was kind of in response to like come on, age restrict me or whatever. Ultimately, the other channels did get age restricted on their stuff. Jacksepticeye did, Markiplier did, others with that featuring that part of the gameplay did get age restricted. But Corey's not banned, but having that kind of thing happen, a lot fewer advertisers are using their bots to bid on your video. You're getting a lot fewer views. You're getting a lot less revenue for it. And for that to be a standard that is kind of unevenly enforced just really sucks. So Twitch isn't the only one with bad stuff going on. YouTube, be better. I don't know if you have much to add to that, but
That's it's kind of funny though, because the difference is on Twitch when someone gets in trouble for things like that, unless they are directly referencing the story, if they did what Markiplier was doing, they'd get banned. They'd get absolutely outright banned, just for like that's kind of
and like
funny that
people hold Mark up to like he's like YouTube's golden boy. One of the last YouTube original was Markiplier, In Space with Markiplier. And so like people do get upset when, oh well, you can do no wrong. Someone uploaded a try not to laugh challenge with a specific video in it that got blocked, and they were like, Markiplier's video is still up. And Mark noticed and he said, my video's still up. Are you going to take mine down? And then YouTube took his down. It's,
in so many cases and in so many places, special treatment is special treatment. It still exists,
mm-hmm.
and it's good if you, the viewer, if us, the programmers, and if everyone make sure that we notice if things aren't all equal, what we can do to be on the better side of that.
And I do appreciate, like, especially when Jack did his video talking about it. It was like maybe a 15-minute video after Corey's, which was like half an hour long. But I appreciate when others will speak up and say, hey, this thing is not right. Everyone needs to do better. I wasn't wronged by this, but I still recognize that you need to do better.
Yeah. Well, the money's only going to take notice if the money talks. So,
and again, like he and Gab, his girlfriend, will like do games together and upload them both. And guess which one has more troubles with stuff getting demonetized and stuff? The one that's not the white male. So it's platform needs to be better. So that's that. A YouTube controversy rather than a Twitch one, but still fits in with the theme. Dave, what do we have coming out in the next 7 days or so?
this week, ladies and gentlemen, I found not 2, not 3. No, I begged Steve at the last minute to find me 4 different trailers, and one of which is for our good friend Pat, and a toot toot for later. But to start, the memeage and the meming, coming out on the 2nd, presented in, remember, assume the nerd vision position.
Slowly.
Arms down.
Nope.
Slowly raise
I'm
your
doing
fingers.
This, but I'm just doing it slowly.
Nerd vision.
Hit the button.
Well. Is that a Jojo reference? Asks Steve. Well, it is, because this game, which I mispresent to him the first time, is JoJo's Bizarre Adventures All-Star Battle R.
Okay.
Featuring 40 characters from 8 different JoJo's Bizarre Adventure story arcs. This game originally released in 2014 for the PlayStation 3, and is getting kind of a new life because of the 35th anniversary of JoJo's Bizarre
Okay.
Adventure.
Yep.
This coming out on the 2nd for the Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X, Windows, and on Steam. Your classic, well-known character IP fighter, where they're going to do all the signature moves and all the signature, different things.
Yeah.
If you, unfortunately, here on the Nerd Glasses, there is a certain lack of JoJo knowledge on this side of the camera, but hopefully you folks at home have some JoJo memes and information for us. But it looks like a good, fun game.
Yeah.
If you're into these fighters and you're into this sort of game, mechanics-wise, they're usually very good.
Okay.
So, fighting games du jour and a JoJo reference for all. Our next game is a game that I'm not reading that one, but the Last of Us Part 1 Remaster, which is coming out on the 2nd for the PlayStation 5. They've been periodically releasing information on this, and a lot of different screens and previews and hemming and hawing and mammon and all that. I'm looking forward to it. Am I going to go get it for the $70 price point? No, because it's the third time I'll be able to potentially buy it.
Yeah, like it's not that old a game, and to just remaster it to up-res the visuals a little bit, like wait till it's been 10 years. It hasn't been 10 years, has it? When did the game originally come out?
You know what? Let's...
2013. Okay, so it's almost 10 years, but still.
They're so close. They're so close. Play the PlayStation 4 version for $20 or less that you can play on your 5.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a lot of information out here, so I'm not going to go into the differences, save for the fact that graphically they redid the game from the ground up.
Yeah,
and
actually,
it is...
the before and afters there do look really good.
Yes, that's the thing for it, but to be totally honest, it's been out for so long, and I've seen so many memes about it, that we will in fact ask ourselves, is this a JoJo reference?
It's the kind of thing that, like, if you haven't played Last of Us yet, it's probably worth the $70. Go and grab it. If you have, wait for it to come down in price first, and then get the upgraded version.
A lot of work has gone into this. I'm very proud of Naughty Dog as a company, especially as a Sony IP, but doesn't move the needle for me, but it will.
Fair.
My indifference, by the way, is highly blasphemy to some of my friends and family who do swear by this as one of the last great IPs of video gaming, bar none. But that's fandoms for you. Speaking of fandoms, on to our third game, which on the 2nd is going to be rocking on to Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4 and 5, and the Xbox Series 1 and X. It is a 4v4 platform fighter. This is Lego Brawls, featuring customizable characters and pieces from Classic Space, Pirates, Alien Conquest, Castle, Western Ninjago, Hidden Side, Jurassic World, Video, and Monkey Kid. You are going to be able to customize...
No Bionicle, no Cell.
No Bionicle. Because I looked at that. I did look at that. I was like, they're not even going to have, like, Bionicle masks that you could clip onto your character. But nope, Ninjago.
That'll be DLC.
Probably. This game, unfortunately, Boater, not free to play. So Steve and I were gonna say, I was gonna tease it and then just say we're playing next week, but I'm not spending $40 on this.
Okay.
But you could, and I hope this game does scratch the itch for you, because it does look like it's following in the many, many, many successful Lego games.
Yeah, and like Lego as a brawler fighter seems like it'd be pretty cool. It's certainly the mayhem with pieces coming apart, potential destructible environments. I like the idea, but we'll see how it looks and how it's reviewed first.
Until I can have the Will Ferrell Lego piece give a swirly to Kylo Ren, will be playing something else.
They put in that animation exactly for you and say, well, now you got to give us $40.
And that's totally fine. I'd buy it on all the systems then. So, the fourth trailer is a franchise that is well liked and well loved and well supported, coming out on the 6th on the Epic Store, on Steam, on Xbox One and Series X, and PlayStation 4, and enhanced for 5, is Train Sim World 3.
Okay.
They are adding 3 new lines, and if you haven't played Train Sim World, all of your current maps and things like that move forward to the next game. So instead of the game itself redoing the whole world, it's just, hey, we have enough content to rationalize another new game. You'll bring forward all the stuff that you currently have, all your records, all your trains, different models, things like that. And now you'll be able to do the Southeastern High-Speed Line, which is in Britain. And I'm going to mispronounce these next two, but the Kessel-Wurzburg and the Kehan Pass.
Nice.
So to our good friend Pat, a toot toot to you. And many safe and fun travels. This is a game that, like, I mean, I watch Pat play it a lot, so that kind of scratches the itch. But I'd buy this game and I'd play it. But I'd like commentate over the top of it, like I'm abusing the microphone and things. And be like,
we need to like stream you playing that and me doing Truck Sim and just basically, just like all those, and then we need to find someone that's doing some sort of like naval shipping simulator. I don't know, just basically all of these things. We need to just have one massive stream that has all of our screens on at once.
Hey, Steve, would you be willing to play one of those 3 games Boater outlined? Because I could be here, Boater could be here, and you could be there, and I'll gladly play one of them, and you just be like,
"This is your captain speaking. We're flying at 3,000 feet. We are."
Oh yeah, actually, Flight Simulator would be the perfect one to pair with those. All right.
That's even better, because Steve has to deal with the fact that you can do a barrel roll.
Steve's got ATC yelling at him. I've got Trucker Dispatch, and you've just got like, sir, I need you to show me the tickets. I need to see your tickets, sir. Sir, you can't lean out front of the train and scream, "Fun train times!" You're scaring the passengers. So that's the games that are coming out in the next 7 days. Nice.
I'm looking forward to them as usual. Some of them, again, don't really move the needle for me, but I am hoping that if there are any that you guys are excited about or things like that, always make your voice heard in chat. We love to hear about it.
Nice. Cool. So that's what's coming out. Dave, what have you been playing recently? What's anything new? Watching, consuming media.
Well, I've still been consuming most of my media on Thusly device.
Yep.
And on a shitty 2-in-1 at home. So no, I haven't.
Works. Okay.
I've been playing Overwatch and really getting ready for Overwatch 2, making sure when the season ends and all these things that I have a couple more of the skins from the remix that I wanted. And I did start pick up where I left off watching the show Brockmire, a show about a down-on-his-luck broadcaster played by Hank Azaria. And, of course, baseball memes ensue, and I have a great time with it. It's very raunchy comedy.
Okay.
And I think it really is equatable to South Park in how raunchy they get with the things that they do.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very uncommon for me to watch this sort of media, but it's hilarious. And I highly recommend it for anyone over 18 years of age. But
yeah,
that's kind of been my media stuff. How about you?
Let's see. We are OFK, and what does that say? Well, that says Orc Massage. Hold on. So We Are OFK, episode 3. I watched it last.
You playing Orc Massage at home, Boater?
Wanted to see what the fuss was about. I have no further comment, as long as you talk about 18 plus. So we are OFK episode 3. It's getting good at this point. Like the first couple, I was like, I don't know, whatever. This one really focused on another character who had like a tough decision to make as the group is coming together, as the project they're working on is coming together, important stuff is happening, and then here's an opportunity for the group that turned into an opportunity for one person, but it's one that would be hard to pass up. I don't want to go too into specifics because, spoilers right now on it. Maybe when the season is done, I can talk a little more. Um, but Steve, shut up. OFK is good. Yeah, and like I'm at this point, they had to make a decision between like, okay, this would be good for me, but it's not good for the group, whatever. And yeah, and just like you get the sense of trying to do the best you can with what you have at that moment. And I'm like, no, don't do it, don't do it. And I see why you did it, but now it's not going well. And it was just kind of a little heartbreaking to be wrapped up in. The music piece for it, kind of like the music video towards the end, kind of came out of nowhere. Like it didn't segue in like it did in the previous episodes, but it still played really well to the theme of the episode and what was going on in it.
Okay.
So it was just all of a sudden, oh, I guess the music video is starting, but then it worked well. So I think it was. God, I forget the name of the single from this week. But I mean, like I was like to get myself into it before I started watching episode 3. I played the music video from episode 2 again, Fool's Gold. And yeah, I'm enjoying the season so far. 2 more episodes to go.
Nice.
It's a neat way of doing things, and it's like, okay, now I'm into it. The first couple episodes, I was like, it's fine. I'm not disliking it, whatever. This episode got me in.
You know what actually just dawned on me? I did play something a lot this past weekend.
Yeah.
And it was that a game. Now, hang on to your hat there, Boater, because this is kind of an older reference. But Pokemon Go Fest was this past weekend,
Oh, I heard about that.
and damn it all, if some of my family didn't start playing the game again, and so I started playing the game again to be able to send them gifts and things, and now here we are in the Wilton Mall. And I participated in some gym battles and things like that. I had a customer come back to the store and thank me for helping during a raid because they saw me in my Insane Game shirt hanging out near the fountain
Okay.
playing. And I'm not going to lie, it's bet if this was the game that it was when like 5 years ago, this game would probably still be very much alive to a lot of us. But it's not.
Yeah, I was seeing there's a writer, John Walker, on Kotaku who has talked a lot about it as someone that came to the game starting in 2020 during the pandemic and has been watching Niantic dial back on all the things that they did to make the game more accessible during the pandemic, trying to get people to go out again. And like this was the first time that he actually had these spontaneous social interactions of like going out and, oh, there's other people playing the game. His first time in 2 years getting that during
Yeah.
the event this past weekend. But like common consensus was that like Niantic is trying to recapture the lightning that was the summer of 2016. That was astounding. It was like breathtaking to be a part of, and there's no way that's going to happen again.
Nope, not unless they give me my motorcycle monster. Because then it will be incredible. I am very happy also to see Steve and I agreed on who's going to get. We're going to buy the double pack,
Okay.
and who's going to get Scarlet and who's going to get Violet. Who do you think's getting which one? Which copy?
Dave's getting Violet.
No, I'm getting
Okay.
Scarlet.
Okay.
And I really what? I still really like that I found out that the exclusive to Scarlet is Tyranitar and its evolutions, which for me is really cool because that's one of my boys. But I also, once again, really like that the legendary in Scarlet is the one that chooses to become ungovernable, and even though it has wheels, it runs anyway using the wheels, like Speed Buggy. And I really, Nintendo, I'm not saying I'll buy the Deluxe Edition if the monster makes this noise, but you will I'll refinance my entire life. After refinancing my entire life, if the monster, while it moves, goes like, and especially if
I
you
was thinking like a
suddenly
boop, 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 boop,
stop.
boop.
Nope. Especially if you suddenly stop and the thing like keeps trying to walk and like all of the monies forever, Nintendo, and Pokemon Group. Um,
I love it.
I will say this past week after Nerd Glasses, I did get called out in the public.
Oh.
I went to the Aviation Mall. Dun dun dun. I know it's still open. And
on the last done, we got a Windows security pop up. Apparently, it's also concerned about the Aviation Mall.
I know. And I walked past one of the arcades, and from inside the arcade, and you can ask Love Alec to corroborate this story, we heard, "Hey, excuse me, you in the hat?" And I was like, "Well, it's me, and it's my time. It's Vader time." And I stopped, and I turned, and he goes, "Are you really a fan of the Giants?" And I,
Fair question.
fair. I really wanted to respond with, clearly you haven't seen the last 10 years of my branding. Because I'm always wearing that hat. And he goes, well, I got these flags as prizes and nobody wanted this one. Do you want it?
Huh?
And I, of course, said yes. And then as it turns out, it was a pretty nice looking banner scroll, like San Francisco Giants flag. Like, that's not bad. And that's free. All because I am a fan of the National League West San Francisco Giants. But that's a new set piece to be added and to be waggled about at convenience. And I was just really excited for once to be.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, it's the dual excitement of, yay, I get a thing, and nobody wanted this.
That's totally fine. I'll take the Giants to myself, you fair weather Mets fans. They're winning now. How you gonna feel when the postseason happens? That's right. Calling out the baseball world. Not that anybody cares.
I sure don't.
You all right there, pal?
I'm fine. Shoulder's acting up. Don't worry about it. Ignore it. Maybe it'll go away.
Did you see the Instagram picture I posted?
No.
We're gonna re-talk about it now.
Okay.
Because it was my on Instagram go live for the show. But it was this one.
Oh, yes.
I'm 30 years old.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So, speaking of being too old to, I don't know, I was going to segue into Web3 by being like, we're old, and that's why we hate it. But no, we hate it because it's generally a bad thing. Web3 Roundup. The CEO of Ragnarok.
We hate it because it's bad. We don't understand it because we're old.
Dave, set the car on fire. Dave, start the car.
Start
with the starter log.
Because y'all are old, says Dude Chris.
Is there something I can throw at him?
I mean, there's a lot of things you could throw at him.
Is there something that won't break when I throw it at him?
Here.
Oh, my right arm is my throwing arm. You're lucky this time. The CEO of Ragnarok, a metaverse an RPG game, admits to mismanagement, including spending nearly $2 million on Ethereum during the crypto downturn. Now, when I say admits to mismanagement, he doesn't say, whatever. He's like, things didn't go as well as we might have hoped.
Oh. I thought we were getting a smidge of truth.
I realized as I transcribed this, as I was reading it, that I was like, that's putting it a little much. But does admit to some of the things that didn't necessarily go well. Accidentally. They got like 1.47 million in funding at the start, and then another 10 times that in another round of funding with the first buy-in of NFTs. So they had a lot of money to start burning through, and burn through it they did. They spent nearly $2 million on Ethereum when crypto first really started its downturn. They were like, well, it's just going to bounce back up. That didn't happen. Compensation is also high at the company. He graciously just reduced his own salary from 1.2 million a year to 600,000 a year.
Yeesh!
1.5 million was spent buying out a co-founder, and team compensation totals 5.4 million, but I don't know if that's like giving a lot to members of a small team so that they're in on the grift, or if it's like, no, we have a really huge team and we're really not paying them a whole lot, or like just we're giving them a reasonable amount. I don't know. 5.4 million was a cited thing, but I don't know how that compares to whether it's reasonable or not. Um, Unlike some of these other things that we've seen that have failed or whatever, the game is still running. The game is in alpha. It was originally kickstarted. It's still in like an early alpha kind of thing. It was pitched as this thing that would stand on the level of World of Warcraft. And currently in the game, you can, quote, walk around and talk to each other and interact with buildings. Battling, leveling, quests, missions, and breeding are apparently all yet to come.
Just like World of Warcraft when they first started. It was a chat room, right? Right? Right.
Actually, you bring that up, and it kind of shows just how like early some games are coming out, and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it just kind of shows how different the game landscape is with so much access to early access games and so forth, and like early betas, whatever. I've been playing more Hardspace Shipbreaker. I didn't mention it in here, but actually, let me touch on that for a moment because I played the game a lot while it was in early access, and Weaver, who is your like voice in your head does training with you, and he's the one being like, "You got 1 minute left on this on this shift, Cutter. Time to wrap her up." You know, same voice I've been hearing for years with this game. Um, Now I'm in a part where I'm at a point that in the story that I hadn't gotten to before. Whether it was in early access and I just hadn't played up to that point, or it's new stuff for when the game was actually released. Um, and there's a part where like he kind of like has an honest talk with me over the radio, like, hey, I know things are tough, and this is what we're looking at right here. I'm gonna try to do my best by you. This guy, this middle manager over here is trying to screw us all over. He's just afraid. He's got, this really like kind of heart to heart thing. And I'm thinking like if I had just picked this game up, this might be like, yeah, whatever, get off my radio and let me play. But because I've played the game so much in like early access, and like I played so much before I started the game, it is like this comforting, almost like father figure that the character's meant to be. Yeah, I'm sorry, we are still on crypto car burning, but like it was like this really cool thing that because I played the game so long before it came out and I started this current career, I got more out of that interaction with the character.
Okay. I had a very similar gaming experience, and chat and our producer, if you guys have had anything similar, please feel free to chime in with further stories. God,
Before you do that, I had nothing else to add on the NFT thing, so we don't have to worry about returning to that. So
that game sucks. Don't pay into it.
yes, so let's talk about a different gaming experience.
So, Metal Gear Solid franchise, beloved by me and beloved by many, but often jumped in at very different points and at very different relationships.
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid 1, you meet a character called the Colonel, and you talk to him all the time, and this and that and the other. And then in Metal Gear Solid 2, at a certain point, he just starts radioing absolute garbled nonsense.
Okay.
And like he's just saying things that don't make sense. He's making statements that don't make it. They're counterintuitive, like this and that and the other. And it gets kind of like it gets really alarming. But it's one of those things. I thought about that. I was like, if this was your first ever experience playing it,
if you started,
you don't
on
give
2.
a shit about that guy. Like,
yeah, he's like when you play Mass Effect 1, that like Jenkins gets shot up. Oh no, Private Jenkins. Obviously the characters are torn up about it, but I'm not. Whereas if you've spent a whole game with the Colonel, it means so much more. Yeah, like these games where you can kind of like jump in at any point or whatever. It is like I was thinking about I was listening to the soundtrack of Nier Automata over the weekend,
Okay.
and a bit came up with have you played the game? I know, like I played it. You might have watched it a little bit,
I
but
watched you play it.
there's a bit where there's like this forest village of these robots that rather than being homicidal like all the other ones are just living their nice, peaceful, quiet life in the forest. And you do like some side quests for them. You help little girl robot find a bow to plop on her dome and stuff like that. Like it's really touching. And I was suddenly reminded of how like later in the game, spoiler alert for a game that's 8 years old, um, that at one point you go back to there, but they've been corrupted, and all the ones that you helped and that you had a good time, building a rapport with, try to attack you as though they're any other enemy.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, like that was like kind of a small one, but it was just like, oh yeah, that's kind of heartbreaking. Not the most heartbreaking thing I faced in a game, and I just relived Valkyria Chronicles again, um, which did a fantastic job of making you care about a character and spend a lot of time with them, and then bye bye.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's like a more standard way of doing it, where you start with the game and they build it up, whatever, as opposed to like what you're saying with the kernel, where that's kind of towards the start of the game where it starts going off, right?
No, other end, south end.
Okay.
You know what? No, it really is the climax of the game because there's 3 boss levels after that.
Okay. Okay.
After that,
So you will have spent time with them, but if you played the first one, you will have spent so much more.
yes,
Okay.
you'll have a way bigger understanding of the story of the character and
what the
everything.
character means to the protagonist. Okay.
Otherwise,
gotcha,
he's just
okay.
a superior offer that starts mouthing off and talking about Harry Carey and 69. Like.
Cool. Dave, what's going on in the web world?
Well, in the web world,
The web world, the gaming world? I don't
no,
know.
web world. We're about to get into a really meta story, Boater. Are you ready for a very meta story?
Dave, if it actually has to do with the metaverse or with Meta, formerly known as Facebook, I'm going to hit you. Go ahead.
Facebook gaming app is yes! So worth it. So worth the consequences. You can even see where I put really meta story on the notes. Facebook's gaming app is going to be shut down on October 28th.
Interesting.
It is still going to be a part of the Facebook app, and it is going to be totally absorbed, all of its workers and assets into the Facebook app.
So was Facebook Gaming a separate app? Like, I know that Facebook Gaming was a
Yes.
separate part of the site.
Yes.
But okay.
There was a separate Facebook gaming app for you to interact
Okay.
on, and it was, really oddly similar to every other separate gaming app you can have on your phone, like this one, where it's the little Twitch symbol that I have on my phone,
Mhm.
and the little YouTube symbol.
It says something that I didn't even know, that Facebook Gaming was a separate app. And like, I know some people that jumped from Twitch to Facebook Gaming, but I didn't know that an app was a separate thing. I just got it as like part of Facebook with a live broadcast.
I'm guessing, to be totally honest, you were 1,000% less accosted by one's grandparents or relatives or that drunkle that you only talk to when they post like, "How do I donate $5 to your St. Jude's thing every year?" Thanks, drunkle. But the headline
Please.
that originally captured me was Facebook Gaming to shut down app, and I was like, but Facebook Gaming is doing pretty well with numbers, advertisers, things like
Yeah.
that. And then I realized, I was like, no, they're just absorbing it in to make sure that in the metaverse, everything is siphoned through a couple of different Bravo. Also, are you okay?
Stop using that word.
I know we're talking about Mark Zuckerberg, so no one's actually okay about it. But It is kind of funny. We should reference that because MCR is in town, uh, so people are hearing that they are not okay. um, but yeah, I got really kind of snookered in by it. But at the same point, it really struck me that Facebook Gaming had its own separate app and now won't anymore.
Yeah. Um, I do. So the past couple weeks I've talked about this topic in Twitch bans, and it really kind of deserves a little bit of its own space.
Yeah.
Talking more about Keffels and Kiwi Farms and all that. So Keffels has been doxxed for her 4th time, and like she's trying to stay ahead of it, and they are continuing to harass and threaten. Um, this all leads back to Kiwi Farms, which is this just like hate community. And so there's been a really big movement called Drop Kiwi Farms under the hashtag Drop Kiwi Farms. You can find out more about it at dropkiwifarms.net. That is basically trying to pressure Cloudflare, who's their web host, into dropping them. After a lot of pressure, they did eventually drop, was it the Daily Stormer and a couple other like really, really right-wing pro-fascist stuff. And a lot of media are starting to pick up on this. We're seeing Forbes, CNN, in addition to gaming media, PC Gamer, Eurogamer, Kotaku, picking this up and running with it. And you know, on the website, it says the harm that the Kiwi Farms community has done. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. It says the harm that they've done, and just trying to call for getting them taken down. As of this afternoon, when I checked, none of them have said like, "Hey, we did it." But it's interesting that like I'm going back through Keffel's timeline. She's like, "Well, I'm verified by Twitter now. Hooray!" Also doxxed for a 4th time. Boo! Like, they found me in Ireland. Off I go again.
Awful.
Yeah, like I don't really have much to add to that. I will be trying to stay on top of that. I will update as I hear more. In the meantime, you can go to dropkiwifarms.net. You can learn more yourself. You can donate to the cause. And yeah, let's, they have a form email that you can send out and fill out and send to verified positions at Cloudflare. So you can check that out. Fuck hate. None of that here. So.
Hell yeah.
I'm scared, but Dave has the floor.
What?
Is that going to lead into anything? You just feel like jamming?
Oh, the guitar. Well, how convenient you should ask about that. They were just announced that Rocksmith Plus, the expansion to Rocksmith, that'll help you and people like me learn to really play the instruments that we own, and play them much better than we do. It is a project by Ubisoft, the designers of the previous makers of the game.
Okay.
The soundtrack to Rocksmith Plus boasts over 5,000 songs as it stands, and is set...
Only 5 of which you'll be able to play on Twitch.
Because it features catalogs from Sony and Universal, so that's not wrong, Boater. That's not wrong. But it is set to release on September 6th on PC.
Dave, you're basically playing the chords from Yellow by Coldplay. And
Am
I haven't thought about that song in years.
This is a meme that I personally do, where I take the D triangle chord and I strum it, and then I usually monologue over top of it.
Okay.
This is how Dave gets better at playing guitar and singing at the same time, by the way, is practicing by doing this. For a little while, this became a gimmick where I asked Liget, I was like, Liget the guitar, and then we would talk about something over top of it.
Nice.
So
Nice.
this game does come with a little bit of a hink, though. There was no word on the release of the PlayStation and Xbox versions that were promised, but there is a little bit of news that it comes with a subscription service instead of it being a cost upfront game. Which is that for 1 month of pseudo custom guitar and bass lessons, it's $15 for 1 month, $40 for 3 months, or for the whole year, it's $100. If you have Rocksmith 2014 or were lucky enough to participate in the beta, and if you did, because I didn't, you get 3 months for free to check out the final product and to see if you likey. Yep, no Beatles. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined, says Steve.
Well, then your expectations were unreasonably high, and that's on you. The only way Beatles made it to Rock Band was with their own game that was walled off, and you could not import those tracks to any other Rock Band game, nor play other tracks in their Rock Band game. I can't hear you. There's a guitar. No, keep playing.
What's that, Steve? As it should be. The Beatles over there, everyone else in music history over there, especially the Stones.
The most interesting thing that any Beatle did was play the conductor on Shining Time Station.
How dare you, sir?
I said the most worthwhile thing that any Beatle has ever done was play the conductor on Shining Time Station. A role shared by George Carlin.
I think Steve's about to strike you.
Nope, he's leaving. He's gonna go cry about it.
No, Steve's going to get a weapon, and you are going to regret it, sir. And I am going to laugh and laugh and laugh. Speaking of things that make me laugh and laugh and laugh, Friday, August 26th, USA Today was reporting on the fact that Amazon was set to buy EA. The announcement will come later today.
Okay.
They reached out to EA, Electronic Arts, and they said that they do not speak about mergers and acquisitions to the public.
Okay.
That
sure sounds like something that someone would say if such a thing was about to happen.
They also had reported that Apple and Disney were also in the running for it, and everybody was gunning for it, and no paperwork was yet signed. Then today, we got an official word that no, Amazon is not set to buy EA. There is a company-wide war and discussion on same. But what? Did Steve really go get a Nerf gun?
Yeah, and he's also shooting it from point blank range, and I'm going to hurt myself trying to block it. So any further injury to my shoulder is on your conscience.
Steve, I was going to say, Steve doesn't have a conscience. You've seen the stuff he produces here on our network and on our behalf. He doesn't have a conscience. But they then reached out to EA, Electronic Arts, to talk about this potential event and who was suitoring them, and they responded with an emphatic, "We do not discuss our mergers and acquisitions with the media." And so this story got real big and then became super dead really fast.
In other words, there was a rumor, and that's it. And USA Today was like, "Oh, we want a scoop."
Yep, USA Today, like many other news outlets, tried to get scooped and then got corrected professionally that apparently Amazon, the groups and things, were not interested in. But it doesn't mean that they weren't. It just means that they weren't currently, and there were no plans to announce a merger. which to me was hilarious because this was Friday morning. I woke up and I was like, of course, this story's going to have been everywhere and nobody's going to. And then the fact that it turned into yet another boondoggly acquisition by another big company this year. So that makes Amazon attempting to jump in. Not that they haven't acquired a lot of other IPs and things like that, but Amazon does seem to still be on the hunt for another major purchase.
I don't want to see anyone buy EA because I'm sick of the consolidation. Honestly, someone buying Activision, the only reason I'm okay with it is because Activision was so horrible and needed something to happen.
Yeah, Activision needed to not be in front of that table anymore.
Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but I was kind of hoping that when it was announced that they would be like, the SEC or whoever would overlook antitrust stuff would be like, well, you can have Activision, but not Blizzard and not King. Or like, this stuff has to split up. You can't have all of it.
You have to sell King. You have to split off.
Yeah,
you have to spin off Blizzard to a different affiliated company.
Yeah, let Blizzard be its own thing. That's hoping for the moon.
I'm actually earnestly more surprised that ZeniMax got approved, just because that had because Activision Blizzard King, and it's only because they were able to become one company together that it wasn't necessarily. But the fact that ZeniMax literally like had everything and like,
and especially after getting everything with ZeniMax, that it seems like they're now getting everything with Activision as well, is just like, I thought that there was some lip service paid to actually trying to be a little more antitrust than the previous administration. So we'll see.
Nope. So that today, folks, is our new Nerd Glasses story that would have been a big story before Nerd Glasses this week, but then turned out to be nothing. Tune in next week for more stories in this new segment.
Well, we do actually get a scoop this week. Is it tooting my own horn? Sure. But it's still something that we get to announce. For those unfamiliar, I have been writing a story this year. I've been writing what eventually ended up being a book that I'm serializing on Reddit. I will paste the link into chat right now for my author wiki on this subreddit, which has 2 short stories as well as the book that is currently going up there. Every week, 2 more chapters go up, and when it's done, it's going to be a book that you can buy in print. And today, exclusive to Nerd Glasses, because we didn't get that scoop about EA, we are instead getting the scoop with the cover reveal of How We Stopped the Destroyers.
Presented in Nerd Division.
I'm so excited. I love how the art came out. I love the layout and all that. But like, it's the kind of thing that makes me feel really good about the book. Like, obviously, I'm excited for the story. But just seeing it actualized like that is very cool. If you are unfamiliar, if you haven't checked out the story, you're thinking maybe I want to, maybe not. What's it about? It takes place after a couple of short stories that I wrote where this species, it's a sci-fi. There's this galactic community of maybe a dozen and a half different species, and one of them had a ancient mythology of this species that came and knocked them back to basically a spacefaring dark age, nearly wiped them out, called the Destroyers. And in the backstory before this book is set, the Destroyers came back. Turns out they're not so mythical. And so...
Oh, shit!
And so there's like, okay, so they showed up because of experiments that humanity was doing on faster than light technology that they stole from this species. How do we get this to work where they're not going to be a problem anymore? There's a lot of scientists trying to figure stuff out. There's also a pirate crew that is just trying to do their own thing and do really well, and I'm sure that they're not going to get wrapped up in things at all. Although if you've been reading the story on Reddit, spoiler alert, they have by now in a big way. The chapter that just went up had a few readers on there going, "Ooh." So
I liked the pirate's arm gesture that really spoke. We're not going to be getting involved in the plot later at all.
I mean, when it came time to write the two main pirate characters, one of them I based on Jack Sparrow, and the other one I based on Hondo Onaka.
Nice!
I mean, like, personality-wise. At one point, someone says, it's like, I know what that means, you ass. I haven't been sailing with this guy for years to have not picked up a thesaurus along the way. So I've been excited for that. Readership on Reddit has been a little on the low side. I actually talked with another author last night. We're like, not really sure what's going on, but there's still a few readers on there, and I'm enjoying serializing it and people like chapter by chapter talking about it and saying like, oh hey, this is cool, or ooh, I like where I think this is going, and I'm like, I don't want to disappoint, but at the same time, I want a surprise. And yeah, so this is the official online announcement of the cover art, and the book is going to be available online in both paperback and ebook November 1st. It is also going to be available in Northshire Bookstore, both in Saratoga Springs and in Manchester Center, Vermont. So I'm excited. My former colleagues at the bookstore are excited to see it. I dropped off a couple of advanced copies for their booksellers to check out today. Yeah, I'm excited. I have a book coming out, and
This is going to be awesome. Well, but this isn't your first book you've ever released, is it?
it is not. The first one was Firestorm, and if you have a hard time finding it, it's because when I published it, I still had my unmarried name, so it's under Andrew Hookway. I am thinking once this is out, I will probably go back and do a formatting pass and, publish a second edition under my name, so that it's more easily found. But I probably go through and take out some of the self-insert stuff because there's a character named Boater. And, so probably clean up a little bit of that. If you want to see that, the first edition is out there, and maybe find a used copy or something. But I don't think there's too many out there. So I'm being revisionist. I get my own George Lucas moment of that doesn't exist anymore. Not Boater, shot first. Maybe it's just because it's been 10 years on, but I feel like this one right here is that How We Stop the Destroyers is generally a better story. It's got more going for it, I think. It feels a little more reasonable and realistic, even though it's a space opera. The subreddit that's being published on, HFY, which stands for Humanity, fuck yeah, it's one of these things that is a story writing community that is like, hey, instead of humans being the boring baseline that everything's measured against, humanity is the weird ones, or humanity are the ones that others are scared of, or like, which ways are humanity really cool?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like tropes in there, and this definitely came out of that, but at the same time, you don't need to be versed in that community and the shared kind of lore and tropes of it to really get enjoyment out of the story. Some of the advanced readers that aren't necessarily in the community have said that they've enjoyed it. Yeah, so I'm excited for this to come out. Again, mark calendars for November 1st for How We Stop the Destroyers, ebook and paperback.
Thank you for making this Nerd Glasses the place this was released. This is really cool.
I'm so excited. Like, getting the proofs in hand was just like really cool when I was like, I mean, they have KDP's like not for sale watermark stripe going along the entire top of the book, but
actually, I managed to buy a book that's like that from a store, and they should not have sold it to me if the author wasn't standing right there for them to ask, because they ran out of the other copies, and the store was like, "Hey, can we sell?" It was Shit. Kirkman.
Okay.
Robert Kirkman. He
Okay.
was in the comic shop in L.A. and I was like, I really want this book. And the owner was like, Kirkman, can we sell the copy?
The advanced copy.
And he went, okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I put the the little circle on it that says advanced reader copy. For those of you that aren't in publishing, a galley or an arc is something that is sent around to advanced reviewers, and that might be like influencers or like reviewers for like NPR or like other blogs that might do something like that, or very often going out to bookstores. So when I was a bookseller for a couple years, I would get advanced copies for a book. That's why I got so damn excited for Gideon the Ninth months before it released. I did one of the first ever cosplay photo, I think the first photo cosplay set of it ever. Much love to More Like Rigor Mortis, who was also a part of that. And the third book in that series comes out in 2 weeks, and it kills me. I had an advanced copy of that book that I read months before it came out, and then the next book, I had an advanced copy ebook that I read a year before that one came out. That was 2019. I have not gotten an advanced copy of the third book, so it's been 3 years since I've read anything new in this series, and it's killing me. It's like my favorite. So yeah, I dropped off a couple of those advanced copies to the bookstore and to some other ex-booksellers. Just like, you still get advanced copies.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, and I look greatly forward to purchasing my own copy, and then bragging about how I know the author of this book. Yes, sir. Please check out. I also would like some magic cards. I know the author of this book.
They sell magic cards at Northshire, so you can get that. Anything else to add before we wrap for the evening, Dave?
Yes. So, as some of you know, last week we talked about games that were discussed and previews and things like that. And I did want to get into a little media talk that didn't get into to give you some scope.
Yeah.
Our good friends at Sega that are working on Sonic Frontiers have promised an open world Sonic game. Now, I caught this story and I was kind of excited about it because it was one of those, like, they announced that the file size for Sonic Frontiers is 10.4 gigabytes on the Switch.
Okay.
To give you an idea, the last two Sonic games, Sonic Forces and Sonic Colors Ultimate, were 6.6 gigs and 6.8 gigs.
Okay.
To give you another perspective of that 10.4 gigabytes for Sonic Frontiers, Breath of the Wild and Pokemon Sword and Shield were 13.4 gigs. So the size of the world that we're going to be getting in this Sonic game is promising, tracking on the larger size if the file size is anything to be believed.
But Dave, it's not the size that counts.
It isn't the size that counts, but it is the fact that, damn it all, in Arceus, I have to go back home to then go back out to another place. That's 3 conversations and 2 loading screens. Pass! Pass, Pokemon! Fix it!
It does get annoying after a while.
Whereas, if Sonic Frontiers is as open world as we are seeing, and you can gotta go fast yourself around, me likey and me will buy on day of release. The one other story I did want to talk about, because it is releasing tomorrow, so it's kind of dead news then. But our friends at Slow Clap, the people who made Sifu, tomorrow are releasing an update that they're adding a whole new scoring system for the game because they've looked at how players are playing and what they're doing and how important it is to them. And they're going to be adding new level scoring for them and a new way to advertise your level scoring. So if you manage to go through an entire level and not get hit, if you manage to, do all these different things that we're doing, and I'm really looking forward to that. They also added that they are certainly still, it is still a tough game even on its easiest level. So they're going to be adding ways for you to adjust the game, such as having infinite health, unbreakable weapons, combos that do not break even because of time or because of getting interrupted and things like that. So people are able to get more of the Sifu experience that they may not have. And of course, as a little sprinkly on top for people that have purchased the deluxe edition, you'll be getting 2 outfits that are unavailable to anyone except for the purchasers of the deluxe edition. That from our friends at Slow Clap, and I'm really looking forward to it and updating Sifu on my system today. Now, Steve said something absolutely outrageous at the start of the program. Boater's looking it up. And I'm gonna soft it that Steve, as we were just about to start, looks over and says, "Do you know there's no chocolate in Reese's Pieces?" And I, being somebody that buys into news, especially when it's given to me by my friends, went, "Oh shit, that's trippy." Boater, being the academic of sorts, challenged that idea. And Boater, are you finding anything about it?
I'm finding that, in fact, chocolate is not listed as an ingredient at all on Reese's Pieces.
I love that gift that they used for that point.
Well, the thing is that most of the sources I'm finding are these like, oh, it's like here's BuzzFeed and here's like Delish and like, I.
You mean you don't believe cookinggrandma.com? When did this get? When are all these stories breaking that Steve then showed them to us?
I don't know. Like 2017 is when most of these are dated to.
Chat, what do you guys think?
I'm guessing then there must be some sort of like flavoring or something, because it's definitely not just peanut butter, but I don't know.
You know what'll help?
I know that white chocolate isn't technically chocolate, Steve. I'm still counting it. And so if
you know who can help us?
I'm like if whatever ingredients make up quote white chocolate, is probably what's in Reese's Pieces, at least to some extent.
Is there chocolate in Reese's Pieces?
To give it more than just.
Reese's Pieces are a product extension of the Reese's Peanut Butter Cups line. They were designed to capitalize on the success of the chocolate-covered peanut butter cups. Though unlike the cups, they have no chocolate.
That's straight out of Wikipedia.
Thank you, Siri.
My pleasure.
If there's one robot that's not going to kill me when the robots take over, it's going to be Siri, and I'm going to hold that as I die. I will. Siri's going to kill me nicely and softly instead of killing all you other people.
She's going to kill you quick and mercifully and
fast. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Anyway, as we ponder the ramifications of the robot uprising, that brings us to
and the fact that Reese's Pieces don't have chocolate in them.
Yeah, well, anyway. Thank you for watching the Nerd Glasses podcast. After this, stick around for the Citadel, where I will be playing Astral Chain on the Switch. I forget exactly where we left off, but I'm sure we'll remember soon enough. I don't know. We're doing stuff. We'll see what the story does.
That's kind of the problem with Astral Chain, isn't it? The storylines are very meaty, and so when you do walk away from the game, it's a little bit like, did I finish this? Are we still in the middle of it?
I'm not playing week to week. Like, as soon as I start up, I'll be like, oh, yeah, that's what happened. I got another one of the creature things back. I forget what they're even called. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose it. Anyway, watch me lose it worse on the Citadel. We go offline. 5 minutes for us to move everything over that way. 10-minute countdown, and I'll see you right here at Insane Games TV. So grab popcorn, pop it in the microwave, go take a pee, come back, sit through the rest of the countdown, and I'll see you there. In the meantime, this has been the Nerd Glasses podcast. I've been Boater.
I've been Dave Mann.
And we'll see you next week right here on Insane Games TV. Bye, everybody. Where the fuck is outro video? Why is it up there?